God Talk Unfiltered.
I had to write it down. Thank you so much to everyone here for holding space for me as I tell my very first story. I was inspired by my friend Ethan, who told me that sometimes we share our stories because others need to hear it. I think this is partly true for me. I'm ready to release this story into the universe so that it doesn't have a hold on me anymore, so that I can propel myself into a new story. And partly because it might help anyone struggling to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Here we go. I've battled with mental health issues for a very long time, since middle school. Some days have been better and some worse. 1 year ago, I was in a worse place. I wanted to die. I thought about it every day. What if I drove off this bridge? What if I took all the leftover pain pills in the cabinet? What if I cut myself deep enough? I knew these thoughts were unhealthy, that I needed to tell someone. But how do you just tell someone you want to kill yourself? I put on a mask for everyone around me. I was a leader at work that people looked to for guidance, someone that had the answers, had my shit together. But inside and at home, I was falling apart. I hated myself so deeply. I was miserable and found negativity in every aspect of my life. I blamed my job, blamed my relationship, blamed my weight, my financial state, my friendships. I blamed everything for my misery, especially myself for getting this bad. I thought it would feel better if this weight of life was gone. I didn't deserve it anyway. I was worthless. Feeling happy, truly happy, was never something I thought I would feel, let alone something even in my grasp. This feeling of hopelessness was like poison. I was drowning and couldn't reach out for help. I was paralyzed. I couldn't tell my therapist. That means I would have to admit it out loud. And the last time I had a mental breakdown in front of professional help, I ended up spending 3 days in a psychiatric hospital. I couldn't tell my best friend. Her mom died from suicide. I didn't want to traumatize her any further. I couldn't tell my mom. It would just make her worry more than she already does. I was really good at managing other people's anxieties and didn't want to make my burden someone else's, so I held it in. I cried myself to sleep almost every night after my boyfriend Jesse would fall asleep. I would project my misery onto Jesse, blaming him for not making me happy. I was grouchy and mean to my kindergarten students. Everything put me over the edge. I was exhausted. There was no joy or love in my life. I knew if I didn't get help soon, I would give up. I knew I was going to die. I was sick of the way I felt and wanted so badly to get out of this dark place. My therapist recommended I start going to therapy with Jesse, so we started going together every week. I told Jesse and our therapist everything about how broken and alone I felt. This was the beginning of my healing process. I started going to the gym, I got a personal trainer, and I started eating healthier. I started talking to Jesse about how I felt, and we began communicating in a healthy way. I started making more time for myself, leaving work on time so I could hang out with my friends or go to the gym or even just relax at home by myself. I started attending women's circles monthly at Rachel's house and realized that other people were going through struggles of their own, that others were also craving deep, meaningful connections, as was I. I started feeling less alone, even in a room full of strangers at a women's circle. I began opening my mind to the universe and seeing the gifts it had to offer instead of the cruelty. I started discovering my worth in therapy, that I have value, and that my needs and wants are valid. I connected with like-minded people, began meditating and reframing how I talk to myself. I gave myself grace and started seeing beauty in the world again. I lost 45 pounds. I took the summer off for the first time after teaching for 9 years and spent time relaxing, spending more time with my mom and 1-year-old nephew. I got a new job and began pushing myself out of my comfort zone more and more, attending a shamanic yoga retreat where I only knew a few people, attending full moon fire ceremonies, coming to God Talk Unfiltered. I began feeling more comfortable in my own skin, a feeling that was unfamiliar to me. And a strange emotion began presenting itself. unencumbered happiness and self-love. My mom even started making comments like, "You just seem different, like you're glowing." I felt lighter, less stressed, less serious. I started laughing more, having fun, going out, scheduling things that bring me joy, implementing ideas I discovered in meditation and therapy into my life. I felt like a new person, someone I've never been but always wished I was. I've always felt jealous of those people who are constantly smiling, who find the positive in every situation. But I was beginning to become that person. Smiling with true happiness and joy, having fun at work with my students, enjoying and appreciating the little things. My relationship with Jesse evolved. Love had more freedom to exist without strings attached, without judgment or resentment. I could love me, and that was enough. Everything else was just a bonus. Instead of relying on others to make me happy, I realized that I'm the only one in charge of my happiness. The control is in my hands. And that understanding transformed my outlook. No longer could I blame my misery and sadness on others. My happiness is a direct result of choices I make for myself. I didn't think it was possible, but here I am. I did it. I love myself, and I know I'm worthy of happiness, daily happiness. To quote Morgan Harper Nichols, how liberating it is to pursue wholeness instead of perfection. I am worthy of this life, and so are you. Thank you.